with the first big patch coming to Zenless Zone Zero in just a few days, we also have 2 new units added to the roster, Qingyi and Jane Doe. None of this should be of any news to you, but you might ask yourself, hey, with my limited resources, should I get Qingyi or Jane Doe? I don't have enough pulls for both, sad smiley face. And while I'm always personally of the opinion to pull for visual reasons instead of meta, let's have a look at both units and their place in the game. Please keep in mind, Jane Doe is not released yet and we do not actually know her kit, which also means this kind of video is inherently based towards Qingyi, who, well, we know nearly everything about. Feel free to listen to this video in the background, there will be mostly random b-roll footage on screen most of the time, so yeah. First we will have a look at Qingyi, then Jane Doe, and at last we have of course our conclusion. So let's get started. Qingyi is an electric stun type agent and provides not only a strong daze application but also damage buffs for your team. These damage buffs include a stun damage multiplier and if you get her signature weapon another 20% generic damage buff as well. However, in many minds Qingyi is a simple replacement for Ambi and that is, well, simply not very true, at least not in a vacuum. While stunners like Ambi or Collider can be classified as quick swap or even burst stunners, Lycaon and Qingyi both fit more into the role of an on-field stunner, even though Lycaon technically can be both, but whatever. The difference here being that burst type stunners have a very high daze application in their respective combo, but heavily fall off after using it. On-field stunners instead have a high consistent daze application, but also require more field time instead. When talking about burst stunners, this basically means that burst-styled characters leave more room for the support or even the DPS to get into action while they wait for their burst rotation to come back up. This also means non-burst rotation DPS agents like Soldier 11, okay, admittedly she is a weird example but we get to that soon, or disorder-focused anomaly units such as Grades can fill the space to take their turn. On the other hand, on-field stunners like Qingyi do not as easily allow for such a time window and are hence better suited to be paired with a burst-style DPS. Basically, we have 3 kind of teams, at least when looking at those who utilize a stunner. We have a burst DPS with an on-field stunner and a support, an on-field DPS with a burst stunner and a support, and anomaly DPS with an anomaly DPS and a burst stunner, or a support. Qingyi, being an on-field stunner, can hence only fit into the first team, but she does so incredibly well. There are very few teams who can be played in both styles in which Qingyi can also take her place, but it does change the team style if she does. An example here being a Soldier 11 Lucy in either Qingyi or Collider team. Soldier 11 is in this weird position where she works better as an on-field DPS but can technically also be used as a burst DPS, even if not as efficiently. However, back to Qingyi. Her additional ability only requires any attack type agent in the squad, which also makes her very flexible in regards to team building and, spoiler, she does very well with the current strongest burst style DPS, that one being Sujuan. For her banner, she is paired with Billy and Corin as the A rank grade ups who both are coincidentally also burst DPS. So before we get to Qingyi's verdict, if you want to know more about Qingyi, I made a pre-release analysis on her including some early calcs on her weapon choices, so check that one out if you want to know more. A link is in the description and in the info corner in the top right of the video right now. So what's her verdict? If you have many burst style DPS in your account, mainly those being Nekomata, Billy, Corin and of course Sujuan, she is a great addition to your account. If you like Billy and Corin especially, you might even get some mindscapes for them, so that's a plus as well. However, unless you are into robots, have an electrocution fetish or simply like her visuals, she might not be the addition to your account who you want to look out for. Oh, and also enemies tend to move out of her basic 3 quite often, so that's annoying. That all said, let's have a look at Jane Doe. Jane Doe is a physical anomaly type agent and she kinda fulfills the same purpose as Piper does. While we do not really know much about her or her kit yet, we know what has been said in the ZZZ version 1.1 livestream.
代理人简，资料已生成。哇，好智能的 Fairy！ 形如疾风，势如闪电。简在山师中逐渐声名鹊起。作为物理属性异常角色，简能为自身累积狂热心流，积满可进入狂热状态。在此状态下，可释放高频多段的攻击，快速触发属性异常效果，造成伤害。
姐姐又神秘又飒。
So basically, she can build up a resource called Passion Stream, and when full she enters the Passion state, during which she can rapidly launch attacks to build up Anomaly. Well, faster than usual, I suppose. This likely means she will be more of an on-field DPS style character who tries to build Passion as fast as possible and then unleash everything that at once. While this obviously needs to be tested, this would hence conflict massively with Qingyi's playstyle and instead favor burst style stunners such as Ambi or Collida. How fast is she able to stack Assault is yet another question, but given she's a featured 5-star character, she will likely be faster than Piper, Corrin, Neko or Billy. So would she actually replace Piper? Well, given how Piper is a burst DPS, no, not by much. However, depending on Jane's kit, they might actually work really well together, with Jane taking field time outside of the enemy stun window and Piper taking the field time during the enemy stun window. Or there might not be any reason at all to switch her out, and that would also impact heavily her teams, for example Disorder, or her even being able to be paired with Piper. It all depends on her kit. And the truth is, we do not know much about her currently, and that means all of this can only be speculation up until now. And that is the biggest problem currently. Well, we do not know much about Jane. As an anomaly unit, if she is anything like the others, she would be pretty free to play, friendly to build, since we do not need to care too much about her skill levels and instead can focus on getting her disc drives correct. Which likely means anomaly proficiency for slot 4 and anomaly mastery for slot 6. For the banner itself, she is paired with Ambi and Seth as the A-rank raid herbs, and if Jane is an on-field DPS, as far as we can speculate right now, Ambi would be a great pair as she is a burst-styled stunner. However, we also do not really know anything about Seth's kit, and that makes it even harder to evaluate this banner, and Jane especially. And last but not least, we also do not have a physical support nor stun unit yet. And Caesar was drip marketed, who is, according to the short video at least, a physical defense unit. How much that will actually help Jane? Well, we honestly don't know. For now, we can only speculate on what she might or might not do, but it is likely she will pair somewhat well with Jane. And all of this basically means, unless you really love playing Anomaly or her back assets, her overall pull value as of right now is likely to be lower than Qingyi. However, the wording "as of now" also implies if other supports, stunners, or even mechanics for either physical or anomaly units are released, her value may go up over time. Looking at you, Caesar. And that leaves us with the conclusion. So, the TLDR is, Qingyi as of right now seems to be the better pull. However, that is also mainly the case because, well, we know Qingyi's kit and her numbers. Qingyi is certainly a good stun unit with DPS characters who focus on burst damage during the enemy stun window. However, if your account consists of mostly on-field DPS units like Alan for example, Qingyi's value goes down significantly. If you already have, for example, Leica on build, Qingyi might also not bring as much value to your account as what you are hoping for. In regards to Jane Doe, we simply don't know enough about her to get the full picture yet. But she seems to fill the current niche of an on-field physical anomaly DPS, which at least likely means she will not necessarily replace Piper at least. But we also on the other hand do not have a dedicated support for physical anomaly teams yet, nor do we have a dedicated physical stunner, which means we either have to rely on Assault to build up days, or use a non-dedicated stunner such as Collida, as physical anomaly teams play slightly differently than the traditional DPS stun teams. At least until Caesar comes along, or at least that is what we can currently speculate. However, that is a completely different topic and out of scope for this video. And with that all being said, thank you so much for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave me a comment on if you will pull for Qingyi or Jane, or if you save up for Miyabi instead, and I wish you a great day. Peace.